Hello everybody, welcome back to the Oshawott Draft League. Today we'll be talking about Week 2. Breakdown of the battles are that the Scalechop Samurai beat the Goonin Gamblers, the Medalli Mouseholds beat the EV Elite, and the Wixom Wakes beat the Shellshocks. And then the Striking Talons beat the by far best team last week of the Team Gigas. The first battle we're going to talk about are the Scalechop Samurai versus the Goonin Gamblers. The Samurai have a very dominant showing against the Gamblers. Crocodile goes on a tear through the Gamblers and takes out all 6 opposing Pokemon. This was greatly helped by Smeargle setting up Stealth Rocks and 3 layers of spikes after the opposing Pokemon slept for 5 turns in a row. If it weren't for Alolan Ninetales falling to Meloetta at the beginning of the match, it would have been a 6-0 sweep and the second one in the season. Next, we'll talk about the Medalli Mouseholds and the EV Elites. Looking at the stats, the game seemed to be very one-sided, but if you watch the footage back, you can see that there was a misclick and a panic afterwards by the coach of the EV Elites. This led them to fall way behind and it was very hard for them to recover. They then misclicked again and then made a poor decision following that, causing the entire game to just spiral out of control for them. I wish it could have gone differently, as I think it would have been a much closer match. Overall, the MVP of this specific match was the new recruit of the Medalli Mouseholds, Meowscarada. This name is floated around the league as it was an MVP in a past season it participated in, but was finally picked up this past Monday from free agency. The Wixom Wakes and the Shellshocks faced off this week, with Staraptor surprising the coach of the Shellshocks, ChaoticXie, with its ability in a choice scarf. The Shellshocks were greatly surprised and have said that they will be doing more research from now on, not understanding how the reckless ability worked or that Staraptor had it. Overall, the Wakes have had amazing team building in their first 2 matches, and it looks like they will continue to tear through the league for now, just like we all expected. Final battle of the week were the Striking Talons against the Gigas. The Striking Talons have a very decisive beating of the Gigas. Rotom Heat takes 3 KOs and the final score was 4-0. The Gigas tried to have Flygon Terra to steal immediately and tried to set up with 2 Dragon Dances, not expecting Dugtrio to have Sucker Punch, to end up taking it out. This led to Flygon falling without taking a single kill and the game being swayed towards the Talons. It was hard to come back after that. In the end, King Gambit set up a Swords Dance and tried to make a final stand, but Slitherwing ended up stopping that, giving the win to the Talons. This week, there was no changes to any of the teams. There was no trades, no Terra captain changes, no pickups, and no drops, meaning that all teams will stay the same for the next week. Now, we will update you on the standings and the MVP race. The Wixom Wakes are now in first place with a differential of +8, with the Striking Talons close behind them with a +6 differential. The rest of the pack is falling behind, with third place being Team Gigas with a differential of +2. It'll be very hard for any team to catch up without the Talons or the Wakes having some big losses on their plate. But there's now a new leader in the MVP race. In week 1, Volcarona had a +6 differential, making it a big leader in the MVP race. This week, Volcarona did not do well and got knocked out, dropping it to a +5 differential. Sorry, I had to check my other screen real quick to see if I had it correctly. And Crocodile took all 6 KOs this week, meaning that it has 7 kills and 1 death, meaning that it has a +6 differential, barely beating out Volcarona now. Third place is tied between Jirachi and Glaceon, both having a +3 differential, but Jirachi gets third place because it has more kills at this moment. Overall, this week was full of unexpected twists, like the decisive leader from week 1, Team Gigas, being taken down with the other team having 4 remaining Pokemon. Nobody expected that. And the Scalechop Samurai, a team that did not do very well last week, now having the MVP race leader in the league. Any final comments? Well, I think that the fact that there was no changes in the teams and every team seemed to have a outcome that was not fully expected. Obviously, most people thought that the Wakes and the Talons were going to win this week because they've just been doing so good and they're just scary in this league. Everybody knows they're good battlers. But the fact that they had such decisive wins fighting two people who won last week, I don't think anybody expected them to win by as much as they did. Next was the EV Elite against the Medalli Mouseholds. I think most people expected this to be a closer game. We can blame it on the misclicks, but I think that the Medalli Mouseholds just came very prepared and have a very scary team now. I think the league really needs to look out for them. I mean, Meowscarada is an offensive powerhouse. They have Skeledirge now who's tanky, and a Ghost type who's just good to have the coverage. Mousehold, which can clean up any hazards and get a boost from it, and then possibly sweep with Population Bomb. And they have Ditto, which means that if you set up against them, they're just going to get the same setup that you just used. And then there was the Samurai against the Gamblers. And I think it's crazy that the Goonin Gamblers Meloetto has not gotten a single sleep turn from its Relic Song yet. And that the Samurai possibly could have lost their sweep with Crocodile if it had only hit 4 out of the 5 scale shot turns against that iron bundle. And those spikes and stealth rocks really helped that team out. That's all the comments I have for this week. And I just want to say congrats to all the coaches, and I hope you all have a great week 3 where we will start interviewing the coaches.